The fighting between Iran and Israel is showing no sign of easing. Iranian media are reporting Israeli strikes against the Isfahan nuclear site in central Iran. They say that there has been no hazardous leak that has been detected. Hours earlier, an Iranian missile hit the Israeli port town of Haifa, injuring 23 people. With the conflict now in its second week, Israel says there has been 25 deaths on its side. And while Iran has not updated its death toll, a U.S.-based human rights group says that figure could now be around 650 people.
A funeral for 5 people killed in Israeli strikes moves through the city of Sari in northern Iran. The dead include 4 members of one family. Israel's hope that the strikes on Iran could lead to regime change so far don't appear to be becoming a reality. Crowds gathered on the streets of Tehran to protest Israel's actions. People chanted anti-Israeli and anti-US slogans. The strikes have, in some cases, united Iranians, giving them a common enemy.
All Iranians stand in solidarity, women, men, the old and the young. We are united in Iran and we are against the war.
Similar protests were reported in several other cities across Iran, as well as in Lebanon and Yemen and neighbouring Iraq. Iranian state media released this footage, purporting to show missiles fired towards Israel. Some were intercepted, but not all. In the Israeli city of Haifa, air raid sirens sent civilians into underground bomb shelters. Several people were wounded. Inspecting the damage at a mosque that was hit by an Iranian missile, Israel's foreign minister accused Tehran of targeting civilians.
It's a war crime, this is clear, because you cannot target, according to the international law, you cannot target civilian population centers.
Elsewhere, Iranian missiles destroyed a cancer research center. Visiting the site, the Prime Minister told reporters how long attacks on Iran would continue.
As long as it takes. That's the answer. As long as it takes, because we face an existential danger.
A wave of Iranian missiles was intercepted in Israeli airspace overnight. With diplomacy so far making little real progress, the tit-for-tat between these two old enemies persists.
For more, I'm joined now by DW's correspondent Emily Gordine, who is reporting from Tel Aviv. Emily, Israel's armed forces chief has warned of a, quote, prolonged campaign in Iran. What could that look like?
Well, I mean, in a recent briefing with a senior Israeli military official, we were told that the Israeli Air Force is essentially making its way from west to east. So it started in the west of Iran and now is moving, it's moved to the center around Tehran, and it's now progressing to move to the east. In the process, it's hitting not just military targets, but of course nuclear facilities. Senior military commanders have been killed, as well as nuclear scientists. And we understand that the ultimate goal here is not just to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, but also its ballistic missiles program, which is seen as an existential threat to Israel as well. Now, when it comes to the nuclear program, though, senior Israeli security officials have made it very clear that Israel needs the help of the Americans to really damage the underground facilities of some of these nuclear sites. It needs so-called bunker-busting bombs that only the Americans have, and only the Americans have the planes to fly them. At this point, it's not clear yet whether the Americans will, in fact, join the Israelis in their strikes. US President Donald Trump has made it clear that he will decide in the next coming weeks. But if he decides not to join the Israelis, then the question is, essentially, what is the point of this conflict? Because scientists, as well as security officials, have made it clear that Israel is only able to set the nuclear program back by a few months. We were at a press conference with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, and we asked him about it. And he, in fact, told us that Israel does, in fact, have the capabilities to destroy Iran's nuclear program, that essentially being another indication that this war could go on for a while.
What about Israeli citizens? What's their view of this war? The two sides have been exchanging rockets daily for more than a week.
Well, Israelis, of course, are shocked at the images that are coming out of the sites of destruction. Of course, many have also been forced to leave their homes as a result of the destruction, and they're also aware of the rising death toll. But by and large, Israelis are supportive of the course the government is taking. They believe that Iran's nuclear program is an existential threat to their country. They don't want to see another surprise, as they witnessed on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel and killed over 1,200 people and taking over 250 hostage, some of which are still in Gaza. And so they do stand firmly behind this government's decisions, the IDS actions in Iran. The question is, as the cost of this war rises, as more civilians are killed, whether this support could fundamentally change.
DW's Emily Gordine reporting from Tel Aviv. Thank you. Iran's foreign minister has said that Tehran is ready to engage in diplomacy over its nuclear program, but not while Israel's offensive continues. He made the comment after talks with top European diplomats in Geneva aimed at de-escalating the conflict.
Iran is ready to consider diplomacy once again, and once aggression is stopped and the aggressor is held accountable for the crimes committed. In this regard, I made it crystal clear that Iran's defense capabilities are not negotiable.
The meeting ended without any concrete breakthroughs, but foreign ministers from France, the UK, and Germany say they want to see further talks with Tehran. Let's bring in Niloofar Gholami from DW's Persian service. Niloofar, Iran says it rules out new nuclear talks until Israel stops attacking the country. But how much longer can Iran fight this war? How extensive is its missile arsenal?
It won't be too long. Iran has launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel in recent days, but most of them have been intercepted by Israeli defense systems. Reports suggest that Iran has already used a large part of its long-range missile stockpile. Israeli strikes have also destroyed many of Iran's missile launchers. While Iran still has missile, its ability to keep up this level of attack is weakening. Experts say that if the conflict continues at this pace, Iran may not be able to continue the missile strikes for much longer. This is evident from the decreasing number of missiles Iran launches with each successive attack.
Iran's foreign minister and European diplomats have met in Geneva aiming to de-escalate the fighting. Does the Iranian regime see Europe as able to help negotiate? We just heard President Donald Trump in remarks. He doesn't certainly think so.
At this stage, the Iranian regime does not seem to view Europe as a strong mediator. Iranian officials have expressed frustration with what they see as Europe's silence or alignment with Israel and the US. Some statements from Tehran suggest that they believe Europe has lost its neutrality. In addition, Iran has few options and may be forced to pursue any path that is less costly than abandoning its nuclear program, which we know is on the table. So it is likely seeking a way to ease tensions and avoid further Israeli attacks while preserving its strategic interests. In recent years, diplomatic relations between Iran and key European countries have grown colder, especially over nuclear issues and human rights. However, behind the scene efforts by European governments may still be ongoing. For now, though, Iran does not appear to see Europe as a decisive, trustworthy negotiating partner in this conflict.
Now, there seems to be a lot of mixed feelings in Iran. On the one hand, many Iranians seem to want regime change, but they also don't want war. And there is Iranian nationalism separate from the government. Are the attacks from Israel bringing people in Iran closer together?
A large portion of the Iranian people have consistently stood in solidarity with one another, except for the regime's supporters, who have repeatedly positioned themselves in a position to the public. So before the internet shutdown, we witnessed acts of solidarity, like, for example, many people opening their homes to those fleeing Tehran. Beyond regime supporters, various social groups agree that they do not want the Islamic Republic, despite they have different views. However, they also reject war, seeing it as another heavy burden on the Iranian people. Many fear that if the current attacks don't topple the regime, a weakened Islamic Republic will retaliate harshly against its own citizens, worsening their suffering. For instance, right now, at the time we see that when access to information is crucial for survival, the regime has effectively cut off Iranians from the outside world to control the flow of information. They claim these restrictions prevent infiltration, but many believe these measures serve mainly to maintain the regime's grip on power amid growing pressure.
Niloofar Gholami from DW's Persian service, thank you so much.
Thanks.